Hey there everybody, and how are you guys doing today? Welcome to another video here on Mobile Cup of Joe. I am Joe Marin, and in this video for you guys today, I'm going to be giving you my full review of the Motorola and Google Nexus 6 on AT&T. So the Nexus 6 is the biggest Android smartphone we have seen all of 2014. The phone is packing in some really impressive specifications and has got a monstrous 5.96-inch Quad HD display. So in this video, I'm going to be running through the design of the phone, the battery life, the performance, the camera, the software, everything you want to know about the Google Nexus 6, you're going to find right here in my review. But guys, before we go any further with this video, I'm going to have to ask you to please go ahead and grab that coffee cup, fill it up, bring it over, and sit on down. And take a swig from your mobile cup of Joe. There's no way around the fact that the Nexus 6 is a very, very large smartphone. In regards to its dimensions, we're looking at it measuring in at 82.98 by 159.26 by 10.06 millimeters. So although the Nexus 6 is not the thinnest or the shortest smartphone out there, it really does come as a surprise as to just how wide the phone is, and you really don't understand this until you do hold the device in your hand. Now I came to the Nexus 6 from the OnePlus One, which in itself was a relatively tall and a pretty beefy smartphone, but the width on the Nexus 6 is unlike pretty much any other smartphone we've seen so far in 2014. It really does throw you for a loop and really does iterate the fact that this is a device you need to primarily use with two hands, especially with a 5.96-inch display. Combine that with the overall height and the width of the phone. If you do love large-sized smartphones, you're going to have a great time with the Nexus 6, but just keep in mind that this is an extremely gaudy smartphone, and is probably one of the biggest phones I have used in quite some time. Because of this large size, if you have smaller hands, this is a phone that's going to be quite uncomfortable to use, and also this is going to be a phone that you may or may not have a hard time getting into your pocket. I myself wear kind of just normal jeans, and I sometimes had a hard time getting it in my pocket. While it did fit, going to sit down at a chair or something, the phone just being so wide and so tall does kind of feel quite uncomfortable in a front pocket or something. So that's something you may want to keep in mind, just kind of your normal use case scenario if you go out of the house a lot and you keep your phone with you in your pockets. Or if you're just at your house for most of the day and it's sitting on a desk or something like that, just kind of keep in mind how such a large device will fit into your normal lifestyle, because a phone as big as the Nexus 6, those really are things you need to think about before plopping down the cash for a smartphone like this. Along with the Nexus 6 being very big, in regards to its overall look and feel, essentially imagine a Moto X 2014, the one we saw this year, but just blown up with a much larger display. And when you pick up the Nexus 6, it's very obvious that the Moto X is where it gets most of its inspiration from, going from the aluminum frame all around the device with the antenna for the phone call radios both on the top and the bottom, the back having that same ring flash around the camera sensor, even right down to the Motorola Dimpo logo above the Nexus logo. The Nexus 6 does look like a blown up Moto X, and really that's not a bad thing, because the Moto X from this year has one of the best designs of any smartphone we've seen in quite some time. Now, one area where the Nexus 6 does improve upon the Moto X's design is with the speakers. On the Moto X this year, we did see a front-facing speaker, but it was a single mono speaker. Well, on the Nexus 6, we have dual front-firing stereo speakers, and although they might not have the highest quality ever, there's certainly no boom sound by any means, but they're maybe just a step down because these are still some of the loudest and some of the best sounding speakers, again aside from boom sound on the HTC One M8, that you're going to really find all year. No, they may not be top of the line quality, but just their placement and the fact that they are stereo speakers really does make for some great sounding audio no matter what you're doing. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Nexus 6 does feature a 5.96-inch screen size, and it is utilizing AMOLED display technology. Now as for the actual resolution, we're looking at a Quad HD panel, meaning the actual pixel resolution is coming in at 2560 by 1440, bringing in 593 pixels per inch on a 5.96 inch screen size. So in regards to overall screen quality, this is a very good looking display. Personally, I've always been very partial to AMOLED technology. I love the very saturated look and feel that they do bring to screens. You've got the very awesome deep blacks on the Nexus 6 that AMOLED panels are famous for bringing. And although the whites may be a little milky and not as stark as you may like, don't get me wrong, this is still a very pretty display. And if you've been a fan of AMOLED displays in the past, you're going to be right at home here with the Nexus 6. As you would probably come to expect from any flagship smartphone of this caliber, day-to-day performance and speed is no issue whatsoever with the Nexus 6. In regards to the processor, we are looking at a 2.7 GHz quad-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 805 CPU, the Adreno 420 GPU, and 3 GB of RAM. So with these insane processing specifications, any task you do throw at the Nexus 6, it'll be able to keep up with it and then some, simply because of the fact that 3 gigs of RAM makes for insanely great multitasking, and the Snapdragon 805 SoC is one beast of a processor, and is actually designed to push around all those pixels with Quad HD panels, like the one the Nexus 6 is rocking, while still giving you a very fast and speedy smartphone. So I have no complaints whatsoever with the overall performance on the Nexus 6. You will notice that maybe here and there that the phone doesn't feel quite as snappy as it should be, but this is more likely due to Lollipop still being in its infancy, but we'll touch on that a lot more in the software portion of the review. But as for playing games, going through applications, streaming video, the Nexus 6 still feels like a very powerful smartphone and should have enough processing specifications and enough RAM to get you going through at least the next 2 years. In regards to its camera performance, the Nexus 6 is rocking a 13 megapixel camera on the back with a dual LED ring flash similar to the one found on the Moto X this year, as well as optical image stabilization, along with a 2 megapixel camera up front. Now Nexus devices have never been known for really great cameras, but the Nexus 6, although it may not be having the best camera we've ever seen on a smartphone, it's definitely far from the worst. By default, you do have the stock Google camera app as your basic launcher for the camera out of the box, and this brings along the host of usual Google features such as photosphere, panorama, lens blur, your standard camera, and video recording. Now you can capture 13 megapixel images with the Nexus 6. In regards to video, you can capture up to Ultra HD UHD 4K video on here. Now in regards to general camera performance, this is definitely the best camera we have ever seen on a Nexus product. Outdoor shots in situations where you have ample lighting look very nice on the Nexus 6's camera. However, if you do go into low light situations, although the dual LED ring flash does help light up a situation, it is not the best way we've seen a flash implemented, and the ring style that we found on the Moto X really doesn't differentiate all that much from a standard LED flash or normal dual LED flash without that ring optimization with it. So all in all though, the Nexus 6, it has a very high performing camera, video quality looks pretty solid as well, and it's really nice to see a Nexus device get a very capable camera that doesn't really have a major flaw with it, like we kind of saw with the Nexus 4 and with the Nexus 5. Take it again that this isn't the best camera you're going to find on the market right now. You've got better options, especially with things like the Galaxy Note 4 and the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus, but this is a really solid camera here, and for uploading your pictures to Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Instagram, it's going to be very capable for that sort of thing. And even if you maybe want to capture a really pretty one and blow it up, you might even be able to get away with that too, because the camera here on the Nexus 6, my personal experience, I was very pleased with what I saw in regards to the camera performance. If there's one thing Nexus products have been infamous for in the past, it's that their battery performance is generally quite a bit less than stellar. The Nexus 6 is packing in a 3220 mAh non-removable battery unit, and although it's not the worst performing smartphone ever used in regards to battery stamina, it's certainly not the best either. On one of my first days of use with the phone, I turned it on around 7:30 AM in the morning and ended my time with it just before 11 o'clock PM at night. Now this was a day with quite a bit of streaming from Google Play Music All Access, turned up to the highest audio quality, quite a bit of screen on time, Google Play Store downloading and updating some applications, and playing Trivia Crack throughout most of the day. Now in that certain time of use of the phone, I got out just a little over 3 hours and 30 minutes of screen on time, which although it may not be the best, it's certainly not terrible for a Nexus product. Now that was also a day where my signal was coming in and out through AT&T, so that probably put a big chunk of battery performance out of the phone. But still, just 3 hours and 30 minutes of screen on time. We have definitely seen worse from Nexus products in the past, but is certainly not the best performance of a battery we've seen in 2014. As any Nexus owner or user will know, the real story and the real intrigue with any Nexus device is with the software. The Nexus 6 is the very first smartphone to ship with the latest and greatest of Android, that is Android 5.0 Lollipop. And Lollipop is one of the biggest updates to Android we have seen since 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich, and although all the new implementations and features may not be the absolute best, this is seriously one of my favorite versions of Android I have ever used, and there is a lot going on here with the latest iteration of Lollipop. Right out of the box, one of the biggest things you will notice is the material design. Now, for those of you that haven't heard about it yet, material design is essentially a brand new redesign of Android, coming from the hollow look and feel that was introduced with Ice Cream Sandwich, kind of that dark blue and black Tron color scheme and feel that was going on throughout Android for quite a while. Material design brings a very beautiful look to Android. You've got really bright whites, lots of big and beautiful bright colors, and beautiful animations that are just present throughout all of Android. Whether you're swiping down to your notification drawer, using the calculator app, setting an alarm with the clock, or even doing something as simple as open up the application drawer, there are glorious animations pretty much with everything you do on the phone. Every touch and every swipe presents you with something glorious and beautiful, and it really makes for a tremendous experience using Lollipop. Now you may hear about this and think, well, all these animations probably don't make that big of a difference, but using Lollipop and then going back to something like 4.4 KitKat, it really does make a big difference and really brings a whole new sense of polish to Android that we haven't seen before, and even just for that makes for a very stellar upgrade to the Android OS. Along with material design, we also have a updated and very new lock screen to Android Lollipop. Rather than just having a ring at the bottom to unlock your screen, you now have a very big clock widget along with a preview of any notifications you may have on the phone. So any notifications that will show up in your notification drawer are now present on the lock screen as soon as you turn on the phone. And what's even better is that you can access these notifications and swipe them away right from the lock screen as you would from your notification drawer. So say that you do get a notification from Inbox, Gmail, or Facebook, well, instead of having to unlock the phone and then go to the application, you can simply double tap on said notification and the phone will boot you directly into the app that the notification is related to. Personally for me, I do feel though that on the Nexus 6 with its large 5.96-inch display, there could have been a little bit better optimization for Lollipop. Because if I do go to my Moto X Pure Edition, which is running Lollipop right now, the exact same version that my AT&T Nexus 6 is at the moment, they're essentially identical versions of Android. And now while this is definitely a good thing, we're seeing a cohesiveness throughout the Android update with these devices, I would have liked to seen some optimization for such a big display, maybe being able to use multiple applications on the screen at one time, or even just being able to rotate the home screen into a landscape mode. Just something like that would have been much appreciated on such a large canvas, because really you're just dealing with a very blown up phone and really no optimization for such a large display. So really you could take a Moto X or any other phone running Lollipop right now, blow it up to a 6-inch screen size, and that's essentially what we're dealing with here on the Nexus 6. Now while that necessarily isn't a terrible thing, I just would have liked to seen something like a multi-window or something similar to what Samsung does to optimize the large displays for the Note line of devices. So here's to hoping Google might update the Nexus 6 in the near future with some better optimization for such a large canvas to run Android on. But for the time being, it's essentially just a blown up phone, which isn't a bad thing because you can still operate it like you normally would, but there's no real added use for such a large display, and it would have been nice to maybe see in a future update of Google to really take advantage of this large display. Alright guys, so there you have it. That is my full review for the Motorola and Google Nexus 6. So to kind of summarize my review, if you're looking for a smartphone that is one of the purest ways you can currently experience Android 5.0 Lollipop, you want a phone that's going to be pretty much guaranteed to get updates for at least the next couple of years to Android as soon as they're kicked out. You like big size smartphones, you like great large displays, you want high-end specifications that should future-proof you for at least the next couple of years. There's no way around it. The Nexus 6 is one of the best phones you can get right now, and it's one of the best ways you can spend your money currently on an Android smartphone. Now there are a couple caveats with the phone. Again, with the price tag being a bit higher than a Nexus smartphone that we've seen for the past couple generations anyways, and just the sheer size of this phone being insanely gaudy and just very huge. Just kind of keep in mind those couple factors for it, and again the battery performance and the camera sensors, both the front facing and the rear firing camera, being a bit subpar and just kind of average, not really standing up to the full flagship features you would expect from a flagship smartphone. Again, they're not bad, it just would have been nice to see them improved a little more than they currently are at their current state. But those aside, there really aren't too big of complaints, because no way around it, this is still one of the best Android smartphones on the market, and I think you're really going to enjoy it if you do decide to go ahead and plop your money down for it. But guys, if you have any further questions about the Nexus 6, I would love to know what they are, and you can go ahead and let me know what those questions might be down in the comments below. If you want me to compare it to another smartphone out there on the market, or if there's just a factor of the phone you want me to go into more detail about, go ahead and just let me know down there, and I will get back to you with a response as soon as I possibly can. But that's going to about wrap it up for my full review and for this video here about the Google and Motorola Nexus 6. If you guys did enjoy this video, I would really appreciate it if you'd go ahead and click that like button. And if you really did enjoy what you saw here, and you maybe want to see some more of it in the future when I do make more videos like this, go ahead and click that subscribe button down there as well to make sure you never miss a new episode when we do kick them out here on the Mobile Cup of Joe YouTube channel. If you guys want to stay in touch with me some more, you can go ahead and circle me on Google+, where I am Plus Joe Maring, and go ahead and circle a channel as well where we are Plus Mobile Cup of Joe. There will also be links to those Google Plus accounts down in the description below. But either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, have a happy holidays, happy new year, and all that good stuff, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.